For years, Rick Ross and 50 Cent have been throwing shade, trading jabs, and clowning each other from a distance. But one wild night in Vancouver turned all that online smoke into something real. Ross tried to play it cool, brushing off the drama like it was nothing. But 50, he smelled weakness and went straight for the jugular. Even Drake, who usually stays neutral, seemed to quietly pick a side. Yeah, it got that deep. Now, with new footage making the rounds, it's clear this isn't just about diss tracks anymore. Things might have actually gotten physical.
And then I guess Drake ended up liking one of the videos. And then Rick Ross is the mother of his son. Tia Kemp jumps in and then, in the comments. And then Drake responds to her, calling her my goat. Is that what he said, Cass One?
Yeah, that's what he said. He called her
goat. My goat. Yeah, this was like emojis and stuff.
It all went down on June 30th, 2024 in Vancouver, Canada, a city on the country's west coast, far from Toronto, but still considered Drake's zone. The event, the Ignite Music Festival, supposed to be just another tour stop for Rick Ross, a simple night to grab a bag, perform for the crowd, and move on. But instead, that night exploded into chaos. What happened there didn't just light up social media, it became one of the biggest hip-hop moments of the year. This moment blew up the internet, memes everywhere, old feuds reignited, and longtime rivals finally got the ammo they've been waiting for. Rick Ross had just finished his set, and the crowd was lit, the energy was sky high, and everything seemed smooth, until the music stopped and Ross started heading off stage. That's when things took a wild turn. Either his DJ made the call or Ross gave the nod, but what happened next flipped the whole night upside down. Out of nowhere, the DJ dropped Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us.
You know that wasn't true. Anybody that know Curtis, he knows he's the police himself. It's footage of the GS9 homies pressing him when he was just in New York. He had more cops than goddamn Donald Trump. But more importantly, it's not even about that. That's his business. At the same time, y'all just better realize that man been playing with y'all, joking and all that. Man ain't on that. That man's situation, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know him like that. But as far as I'm concerned, he been the victim his whole life.
Yeah, that track, the one that shook the whole rap game and became the anthem of Drake's biggest public embarrassment during his beef with Kendrick. But here's where it gets even crazier. This wasn't just some random song choice at a random venue. No way. This was the track that wrecked Drake's image, blasting through the speakers right there in Vancouver, Canada, the same country Drake represents. Playing Not Like Us in that city wasn't just bold. It was either fearless statement or straight up reckless. The crowd went nuts, and social media was seconds away from catching fire. Maybe it was both fearless and reckless. What happened next was caught on shaky video that spread like wildfire across every social media platform within hours. The footage might have been grainy, but what it showed was crystal clear. As Rick Ross made his way through the venue, around 15 men started closing in on him and his crew, and you could feel the tension even through the screen. Someone suddenly yelled for Not Like Us to be turned off, and just like that, words started flying. The energy flipped in an instant, from a hyped celebration to straight up confrontation. Within seconds, things spiraled out of control, and then, boom, a man threw a punch right at Roth. The hit landed and chaos exploded everywhere. Security rushed in, but Ross's team got overwhelmed fast. The video even showed several men ganging up on one of his security guards, hitting and kicking him while he was down. It was brutal. That clip went insane online. Within millions had watched the biggest boss getting surrounded, punched, and his crew taking hits in what many called enemy territory. Social media went wild with reactions, memes, theories, breakdowns. Everyone had something to say. But what took the drama to another level was the eerie silence from certain big names. People who many thought would have spoken up suddenly had nothing to say. Drake himself stirred the pot even more. He actually liked a clip of the fight that popped up on Instagram. The caption said, "You already know this is Champagne Poppy Town," and Rick Ross got smashed out. That one little heart from Drake spoke louder than words. It wasn't just a casual scroll by, it was a digital cosign that showed just how far things between him and Ross had fallen.
Yo, where does this put Khaled?
In an awkward place.
Yeah. Like very awkward place.
Khaled could never. I wonder if he could broker a peace ever, and there's no chance.
Maybe, we don't know. Let's see. Khaled is about love.
This wasn't a neutral move. It was Drake silently cheering on the chaos, a public signal that he was cool with what went down to his former collaborator turned rival. Meanwhile, Rick Ross tried to play it off. He hopped on his Instagram story, posting a photo in front of his private jet with the caption, "Vancouver, it was fun, until next time," trying to brush off the heat. He later told TMZ that nobody on his team was seriously hurt and even called Vancouver a beautiful city he couldn't wait to return to. But then, boom, Curtis Jackson stepped into the chat. And when Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, joins a situation like this, everything changes. His presence alone shifts the whole energy, especially when the topic has anything to do with Rick Ross. Once 50 got involved, it no longer was just internet gossip. It turned into a full-blown war of words and ego. For more than 15 years, Rick Ross and 50 Cent have been locked in one of hip-hop's longest, pettiest, and most personal feuds ever, and neither one has let it go. Every time Ross takes a loss or faces any kind of embarrassment, 50's right there waiting with a smirk and a comment. So when the Vancouver footage dropped, you already know this was exactly the moment 50 had been waiting on. In true 50 Cent fashion, he jumped online and delivered a cold, straight-faced line before cracking up laughing, saying he might need to go get the Dream Chasers. The internet went wild. That jab hit hard, not just because of the humor, but because of the layers behind it. The Dream Chasers reference pointed straight to Meek Mill's label, a slick reminder that Ross is Meek's boss under Maybach Music Group, and their history has been far from smooth. But 50 didn't stop there, of course not. He doubled down by posting another clip showing Ross making his way out of the brawl and captioned it "The Great Escape," adding "The Chasers." It was pure 50, petty, sharp, and perfectly timed. Every post added more fire to the feud, and fans couldn't get enough of the drama.
Now, the other day we were talking, and Charlamagne was saying that if 50 and Ross could squash their beef, they could make great music together.
Not even just great music. I feel like you two are like incredible people, like characters, like very entertaining. Like I think y'all could make just something very entertaining together.
I don't think it would ever happen.
They chasing me, 50 joked online, but the trolling didn't stop there. It was relentless, sharp, and perfectly planned. Then came the live shows where 50 Cent took things to a whole new level. During his set at the Ottawa Blues Fest on July 6, 2024, he spoke straight to the Canadian crowd about the Ross incident and couldn't resist stirring the pot. He shouted, "I can't believe what you did to Rick Ross. You messed him up." The crowd went wild as 50 started scanning the audience, pretending to spot the person responsible. Who was it? You did it? There he go right there. Who said Canada was soft? Who said that? He teased, milking every second of it as fans screamed back. The performance turned into a full-on roast, and everyone in the crowd knew exactly who the target was. Later, 50 dropped a video on Instagram hyping up how much love he was getting from Canada. Laughing, he said, "They really rock with me out here. They beat Rick Ross up bad." Standing next to him was Uncle Murda, who jumped in saying, "We going to Canada and we ain't them other dudes, you heard?" And just when people thought the trolling was over, 50 kept it going. Weeks later, during his Toronto show on July 21st, he told the roaring crowd, "I just want to thank y'all for making me feel so at home, because some of y'all handled Rick Ross right." The place erupted. It was pure chaos and comedy mixed into one explosive moment. With a smirk, 50 kept the petty energy alive, but Rick Ross wasn't about to stay quiet. No way. On July 4th, he hopped on Instagram Live to share his side of the story, spinning it with the confidence only the biggest boss could pull off. The storyteller in him went all in, painting a version that sounded nothing like the viral video everyone had already seen. He swore up and down that nobody ever punched him in the face, saying, "Let me tell you something. When the first dude stepped up to Rose, the little short round one that looked like Bam Bam Bigelow from wrestling, when he stepped up, I squatted down, looked him dead in the eyes and said, 'Boy, if I hit you, you're gonna see everything you ate for the last few days.' His courage dropped out right there. He ain't say another word, didn't do nothing, straight busta." Ross kept going, adding, "Then the dude behind him said he knew me, and next thing I know, I got hit with a drink, but I'm still convinced ain't nobody punched me." Of course, the footage told a totally different story, but that's classic Rick Ross. What's made him such a standout in hip-hop isn't just his hits, but his ability to take an L and flip it into entertainment. Even when the world's laughing, Ross finds a way to rewrite the story and make it sound like he came out on top. Whether people believed Ross's story or not didn't even matter anymore. He was sticking to his version no matter what. But just when things seemed like they couldn't get messier, the drama took a sharp turn. Ross's ex and the mother of one of his kids, Tia Kemp, jumped straight into the chaos, dragging the whole situation into a new level of wild. Between the Drake connection and what many saw as a betrayal of brotherhood, the fallout started looking more like a soap opera than a rap beef.
He just filed bankruptcy. He's this and that and this and that. Homie, you got the greatest start ever. Dre put you on. Eminem. I came out of Miami self-made.
If the Vancouver altercation was explosive, what came after was pure chaos layered with betrayal, emotion, and long-held grudges. The aftermath was so tangled, it would have needed a chart to track who was coming for who. And the first person to throw extra fuel on the fire? None other than Tia Kemp, someone who knew Ross better than most and had no hesitation about calling him out. Tia had been sitting on grievances for years, and the second this moment hit, she went live on Instagram, ready to let it all out. She roasted Rick Ross with zero hesitation, holding nothing back. Every word was sharp, personal, and meant to hit deep. It wasn't just shade, it was straight up demolition aimed right at the biggest boss himself. "They fattened his fat eye up," Tia Kemp said during her live stream, laughing hard as she tore into Ross. She added, "I'm glad they smacked the mess out your big self." And she didn't stop there. Tia kept posting story after story, painting Ross as all talk and no action, a man who loves to act tough until it's time to actually prove it. The internet was eating it up, but then things took an even crazier turn. On July 1st, just as Canada was celebrating its national holiday, Drake dropped a series of photos celebrating Canada Day. That's when Tia Kemp decided to jump right in and comment under his post, writing, "Drakey." Drake replied with a heart and called her "my dote," which instantly sent social media into a frenzy. Ross clearly wasn't feeling the interaction. He fired back in the same comment section with his own shot, writing, "Pedo versus Granny" at Champion Poppy, taking aim at both Kendrick Lamar's accusation against Drake and Not Like Us and throwing shade at Tia's age. It was savage, petty, and totally in character for Ross when he's pushed too far. But this whole situation showed just how broken things had become between Drake and Ross. These weren't just two random rappers throwing shots, these were artists who had once created magic together. From Aston Martin music, the smooth anthem that became a timeless slow jam, to Lord Knows, a cinematic masterpiece by Just Blaze, and Stay Schemin', where Drake dropped one of his most iconic verses ever, all the way to Money in the Grave. Their history ran deep, but now that brotherhood was shattered in front of the whole world. Their hit Money in the Grave even climbed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, proof that Drake and Rick Ross were once an unstoppable duo. In the studio, they were like Shaq and Kobe, two powerhouses whose chemistry always turned tracks into straight gold. They even had plans on a joint album called YOLO back in the early 2010s, a project that sadly never dropped. Had it come out during their prime, it would have been legendary. But their bond went deeper than just music. These two showed real love publicly, appearing at each other's shows, supporting each other's moves, and moving like brothers rather than just collaborators. It felt like genuine loyalty, not just a business alliance.
Hey guys, I just saw a very unfortunate situation that took place in Canada. And I want to say to everyone, that I hope that brother made it home safely. I hope that he now has a different perspective and a better sense of what to do and what not to do while you're out in the world, you know? That part where the young guy was like, he did this little move and got knocked the fuck out, like right there. That does not reflect him. That reflects his camp. And he might need to go get the drink chasers.
In fact, Ross even said it himself during a Drink Champs interview in May 2023. He proudly claimed that he and Drake were real close, saying they were in the 2 percentile when it came to top-tier writers and creators. Back then, it looked like nothing could come between them. But less than a year later, everything fell apart. Suddenly, the same brothers who made chart-topping hits were firing off diss tracks instead of verses together. The beef truly exploded when Drake's diss track Push Up leaked in April 2024. While the song was mainly aimed at Kendrick Lamar, Drake couldn't resist slipping in shots at Ross, mocking his past as a corrections officer and hitting him with bars so sharp fans couldn't believe it. The betrayal cut deep, and from that moment, their brotherhood was done. Drake's leaked track Push-Ups didn't just sting, it cut deep. In it, he threw shots suggesting that every charting song Rick Ross ever had only blew up because of him. He rapped, "I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he'd jump in this era, turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart he got from Dizzy. Spend that little check you got and stay out my business." Those bars hit like a punch to the gut. The message was clear. Drake was claiming Ross's entire legacy was borrowed success, that without him, Ross wouldn't even chart. But Ross didn't waste a second firing back. That same day, he dropped Champagne Moments, recorded and released within hours. It was petty, fast, and fiery. Ross went straight for Drake's identity, repeatedly calling him white boy and accusing him of stealing his flow from Lil Wayne. Then he pushed things even further, alleging that Drake had cosmetic surgery done, specifically a nose job. That's when the nickname BBL Drizzy was born, referencing the Brazilian butt lift surgery, and Ross ran with it proudly. He even performed the track at clubs while rocking a shirt with Drake's face on it. Drake clapped back in his own way, posting screenshots of text to his mom saying Ross had gone loopy off the Monjaro and was doing proms for money. But Ross flipped that too. He reposted the screenshot himself, laughing at Drake for running to his mama. According to Ross, the real reason for the beef wasn't even about bars. It all started when Drake supposedly sent a cease and desist letter to French Montana. From that point on, every track, every post, and every jab became part of one of the most personal rap feuds in years. In Champagne Moments, Rick Ross didn't hold back. He dropped a direct shot, saying, "I unfollowed you because you sent that cease and desist to French Montana. You even brought the cops in and hated on my dog's project." That bar alone made it clear this beef ran way deeper than just music. Later, Ross sat down on the Carisha Please podcast with Young Miami, where he finally opened up about both the Vancouver chaos and his fallout with Drake. When asked if a truce could ever happen, Ross laughed and said, "I don't know, it depends on how I feel. If I had a little champagne that morning, it might be a good day. If I haven't, you never know, 'cause that's how the game go. Sometimes it's just like that. Forget him or whatever it is, but I ain't losing no sleep over it yet." His tone was cool, calm, and just a little cocky, classic rosé energy. He also broke down why his crew got caught off guard in Vancouver, explaining all my homies that usually travel with me couldn't come in because of their felonies. If I had just 2 or 3 more of my people with me, we would have stripped them dudes out they drawers and socks. It was part explanation, part flex, showing Ross wasn't backing down, just regrouping for next time. But here's what casual fans missed. 50 Cent's non-stop trolling after Vancouver wasn't random or new. It was just the latest chapter in a feud that's been raging for over 15 years. Their back and forth has gone through every phase: explosive beef, temporary cooldowns, surprise jabs, and full-on social media wars. What happened in Vancouver wasn't a one-off moment. It was the continuation of one of hip-hop's most bitter rivalries, one that refuses to die down no matter how much time passes. To really understand why 50 Cent went so hard on Rick Ross, why he turned entire concerts into roast sessions, why he kept dropping clip after clip clowning Ross, you've got to look back at the roots of this feud. This wasn't some new school internet beef. It was history, deep, messy, and legendary for how personal and petty it got. It all traces back to the 2008 Bet Hip Hop Awards. That's where it supposedly began, over a look. Yeah, you heard that right. According to Ross, he felt disrespected by the way 50 Cent looked at him. He claimed it was an evil stare, something that instantly rubbed him the wrong way. 50 later brushed it off, saying he didn't even remember seeing Ross that night. Whether that was the truth or just a slick way to dismiss him, it made Ross even angrier, and the tension exploded from there. By January 2009, Ross came swinging first with Mafia Music, a diss track that went straight for 50's personal life, referencing an alleged domestic dispute involving 50's ex, Shaniqua Tompkins. That was all 50 needed to go nuclear. He fired back immediately with Officer Ricky Go Ahead Try Me, mocking Ross's old career as a corrections officer, something that had already been exposed by the smoking gun back in 2008. But what came next? That was something the rap game had never seen before. 50 Cent didn't just drop diss tracks, he built an entire campaign to break Ross down piece by piece. He launched a wild series of Officer Ricky cartoons, animated shorts that turned Ross into a clumsy, goofy prison guard instead of the bossed-up street legend he rapped about. It was savage satire, pure humiliation on repeat.
Listen, there are a lot of things you can say about 50. I truly appreciate. Like, there are times when I think he goes too far. There are times when I think there's some people that I'm like, why do you get involved in that? But when it comes to the people that he has legitimate, long-standing beef with, I actually respect the level of never getting off their neck. I really do.
Pettiness. The petty.
Then 50 took things even further by interviewing Tia Kemp, the same woman who would later side with Drake. During that interview, she confirmed Ross's past as a correctional officer and claimed his whole kingpin image was fake. 50 used that like ammunition, pushing the idea that Ross wasn't who he said he was. But 50 wasn't done. He pulled one of the boldest, most controversial moves in hip-hop beef history. He showed up outside DJ Khaled's mother's workplace, filming himself there, not because he had beef with Khaled, but just to send a message. Nobody connected to Ross was untouchable. Then came the most shocking move of all. 50 leaked a private, intimate tape of Lastonia Leviston, the mother of Ross's child, adding cartoon commentary over it. It was brutal and invasive, crossing a line few had ever dared in the name of revenge. From that point, the feud stopped being about music. It turned into psychological warfare. 50 wasn't just trying to out-rap Ross, he wanted to completely dismantle his image and embarrass everyone close to him. But karma came swinging back, hard. The tape leak led to a massive lawsuit. Leviston sued 50 for invasion of privacy and emotional distress, and after years in court, a jury hit him with a $7 million judgment. The ruling was huge, a clear message that the courts took that violation seriously. The financial blow played a role in 50 filing for bankruptcy in 2015, a moment Ross and his fans have thrown back in his face ever since, as proof that even if 50 won the battles, Ross might have won the war. 50 Cent even ended up suing his own lawyers, claiming that Rick Ross was actually the one who leaked that infamous tape, and that his legal team failed to protect him or secure key evidence. That move showed just how far the feud had spiraled. What started as a simple dirty look at an award show had evolved into something that tangled up both their careers, reputations, and personal lives. It wasn't just rap beef anymore, it was obsession on both sides. Over the years, the tension never truly died. Every few years, it would flare back up like wildfire. In 2013, when Ross survived a drive-by shooting on his birthday, 50 immediately jumped online, claiming the whole thing was staged, just a publicity stunt. Even in the face of danger, 50 still used every opportunity to throw shots.
Fast forward to 2023, Ross dropped a collab album with Meek Mill called Too Good to Be True. Instead of congratulating them, 50 clowned the project online, pointing out how their combined star power didn't pull the sales numbers fans expected. It was vintage 50, petty, calculated, and cold. Ross didn't let that slide either. He fired back by questioning whether 50 even owned his own music masters, hinting that he might just buy them himself. That jab hit deep. It wasn't just about bragging, it was about legacy, control, and pride. The insults between these two have always been more than just lyrical. They're psychological warfare, tailor-made to hit where it hurts most. Reflecting on it years later, Ross summed up his mindset perfectly. At the end of the day, it's all about chess. When you don't have nothing to lose, like I didn't at that point, it really ain't matter. It was never about just winning. It was about proving who could outthink, outlast, and outplay the other. Ross's words revealed something powerful about how he saw the whole feud. It was never about winning in the traditional sense. To him, it was about survival, strategy, and endurance. He wasn't trying to end 50 Cent. He was trying to outlast him, to stay standing even when every possible weapon had been thrown his way. Ross turned the beef into a long game, a battle of resilience rather than destruction. But when the Drake and Ross fallout exploded, it added yet another layer of tension to an already impossible situation. Suddenly, everyone started wondering, could peace between any of them ever exist again? One person caught right in the middle of it all was DJ Khaled. As a Miami native, producer, and master collaborator, Khaled had worked closely with all three, Drake, Ross, and 50 Cent. For years, Khaled built his entire career on unity and collaboration, always preaching love and positivity. Some of his biggest hits, like I'm On One and No New Friends, had featured both Drake and Ross on the same tracks, anthems that once symbolized brotherhood and loyalty in hip-hop. But now, those songs felt like snapshots from another lifetime, when everyone was still on good terms and money and respect flowed both ways. When the new wave of beef broke out, fans flooded social media with jokes saying Khaled would be the one who truly suffered. How he gonna make another album if his favorite artists refuse to be on the same song? People joked online. Khaled stayed quiet for a long time, trying not to pick sides, but eventually, in September 2025, the self-proclaimed Man of Love finally decided to speak up. On the Joe and Jada podcast, the Man of Love finally addressed the situation, ready to clear the air about where he stood in one of hip-hop's most tangled rivalries. When DJ Khaled finally broke his long silence, his response was classic Khaled, cool-headed, positive, and full of love instead of tension. He wasn't about to fame the flames. He said, I love Drake, I love Ross, I love Future. I don't get in that kind of energy. There's two energies I'm not gonna get in. Hate. He doubled down, saying, those are my brothers. You can't question my friendship. It's impossible. Ain't nobody like DJ Khaled. His words were pure optimism, the kind of energy he's famous for. Khaled didn't choose sides. Instead, he tried to lift the situation higher, seeing himself as a bridge rather than a barrier. He said he believed reconciliation was still possible and that most of the drama came from misunderstandings and not communicating. Then he made it clear, when it comes down to DJ Khaled, I'm the one that's gonna try to fix it. I love my brothers, and my brothers know I'd love to squash it. It was Khaled's way of saying he still saw hope, even when everyone else had given up. He wrapped it all up with one of his trademark lines of faith: everything's possible with God. It was the ultimate message of peace. But whether that faith would actually pay off remained a mystery, because as far as 50 Cent and Rick Ross go, that war looks far from over.
After 15 long years of bankruptcy filings, lawsuits, leaked tapes, diss tracks, and now viral Vancouver footage, neither man has shown any sign of backing down. At this point, their feud isn't just part of hip-hop history, it is hip-hop history. The saga continues, and both men seem determined to make sure it never truly ends.
When asked if peace could ever happen, Rick Ross has always kept the same answer, steady, firm, and unapologetic. "I don't think it would ever happen," he's said time and time again. And honestly, who could blame him? Between the wild Vancouver incident, the messy Drake fallout, and the never-ending 50 Cent feud, Ross is surrounded by tension on all sides. His baby mother, Tia Kemp, still trolls him online. His former collaborator, Drake, publicly co-signed his beatdown, and his oldest rival, 50 Cent, keeps turning every show into a live roast, reminding the world of Ross's humiliation every chance he gets. But through it all, Rick Ross, the self-proclaimed biggest boss, keeps moving like none of it matters. He's still flying private, sipping Luke Belaire mid-air, surrounded by his massive fleet of over 200 luxury cars, living on an estate so huge it could pass for a neighborhood. The question everyone keeps asking is, does he really not care, or is it all just part of the performance? That's the mystery that's always followed William Leonard Roberts II, the man who once wore a corrections officer's badge and later became Rick Ross, the music mogul, the boss, the legend. 15 years deep into a war with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and now months into a Cold War with his former brother Drake, Ross still tells the world he's unbothered. Whether that's real confidence or world-class showmanship, one thing's for sure, he refuses to fold. Meanwhile, that chaotic Vancouver footage still circles the internet, reminding everyone that this story is far from over. And 50 Cent, he's still out there, mic in hand, reminding every crowd from Toronto to Ottawa that Canada ain't soft. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Let us know what you think about this never-ending hip-hop war.